Hi, and welcome to episode 1 of the Show Me Your Knits knitting podcast. My name is Mary Grace, also known as Show Me Your Knits on Instagram. I figured I'd give a knitting podcast a go just as a way to track what I've been up to and share out my progress more. I typically on Instagram only post finished projects, finished objects, and so this is a fun way to kind of keep track of what I'm up to every couple weeks and share out into this great community. A little bit about me. I'm based in Wyoming. I have been knitting for about 20 years. I, for a very long time, only knit hats and gloves and mittens and things like that. And then about 5 years ago, I got really tired of painting. I did a lot of watercolor painting and got tired of just kind of making things that sat in my house. It wasn't exactly fine art, so I was kind of painting things for fun, but also, hello, but also, not really doing anything with them afterwards, and so I decided to sort of switch for something that was still fun for me, but also I had a tangible result that felt a lot more, felt like I got a lot more use. I'm a very practical person, and so this sort of textile craft has really been great for me, and I've really in the last few years just kind of blossomed in what I'm able to do, what I feel confident in doing. And that's been just a really great learning experience and a really great community builder for the last few years. I'm going to structure this kind of like your typical knitting podcast. So starting off with what I'm wearing. This is the Top Sole by Mochi Knits. I knit it a few years, or maybe just last summer, and wasn't really super pleased with the fit on me, which is totally my own fault for a while, but I've really been loving wearing this spring and summer. I knit it up in 2 skeins of Good Vibes Only from Hugh Loco's At the Disco collection, and that was sort of my problem. I only had enough yarn to make a size medium when my bust circumference is usually between a large and extra large, so while it's supposed to be kind of a more oversized top, I definitely knit more of a fitted vest, and I think that's why I had such a hard time figuring out how I wanted to wear it for so long. But now I really love wearing this. I have some purple pants from Big Bud Press that I absolutely love styling these with. I've typically dressed pretty colorful for the workplace, and so this has been a fun addition for my in-office days. So moving on next to finished objects, since this is the first episode, we'll just kind of go over what I've done in the last 2 weeks, what I finished up. The first one is the Margot top by Gregoria Fibers. I'm going to hold it up, but it's already got a stain on it because I wore it as soon as I made it at my family reunion, and I was cooking in it, and I've got something that I need to resolve right there. This is a really cool design. I saw it on the Those Twins Who Knit podcast. I really love the texture of it. It's quite drapey. I do have some other thoughts on this pattern, but to start off, I knit this up in Sandisgarn Lena in the color light blue, which is 5930. I used about 6 skeins. I did crop the pattern based on what was recommended, partially because it was supposed to be knit in a wool, or it was recommended in a wool, and since I did a cotton, I know that this will stretch a lot during the day. It's not quite this boxy once it's on. I do, yeah, like I said, have a super short torso though, so it's not bad that it's a little bit cropped. I think I cut out like 2 or 3 repeats of these at the bottom from what it was supposed to be. Another modification was more due to the fact that I was traveling whenever I knit this, but I didn't size down for the ribbing at the top, which I think kind of did me a disservice because this boat neck didn't draw in as much as it should have. I'll put pictures in that show what it looks like whenever it's been worn a little bit and is kind of like blocked how it's supposed to be. Poe, get out. These are my dogs. This is our puppy. Go. Go, please. Go. So I think that really was a disservice to myself. Was a disservice to myself in not sizing down, but I do still really like this. I think that it just makes it a little bit harder to wear because it's kind of like off the shoulder rather than tucked in. My other concern with that though is like or I guess concern with the pattern is that, sorry, a puppy break. But I knit this to my recommended bust circumference with ease, and I just think that it needs a little bit of shaping for people who have a difference between their like as much of a difference as I do between their full bust and their upper bust, just because it does like kind of bunch out right here, and I really like the fit everywhere else. I just think that maybe instead of knitting it straight up, there could have been some like more shoulder shaping to bring it in here. I have thought about like ripping back the top couple inches and redoing it to see if doing this in a smaller needle size will bring it in at all. But we're not to that point yet. So I'm going to keep wearing it, and then maybe like over the winter or in preparation for next summer, I'll do that. But I really enjoyed knitting with this yarn. I have another project you'll see that I'm currently knitting with this. And I do overall really like the garment. I just think that to make it absolutely perfect, a couple tweaks would be needed for someone with my body proportions. So the next item that I finished is the Flutter Butt Shorts by Jessie May. I have knit these once before. I'll put in pictures of the version I finished almost a year ago and then the ones that I finished last week. These are so nice. These are knit in a size 1X. I kind of size my needle size down just a little bit from recommended in the pattern because it I just don't want to be quite as see-through. I have another pair the other pair that I knit are in lace weight flax, and I sized up to a 2X in those, and they're still quite see-through. So I wanted something a little bit more opaque. You can still definitely see through these, but they're maybe like a little bit more acceptable to wear like running to the mailbox than my other set is. I knit these up with Taos Wool's fingering weight. Let me grab that quickly actually. Okay, I have the skein here. So this is Taos Wool's fingering weight superwash. It's 70% merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. You get 437 grams per 100, or 437 yards per 100 grams, and it's a 3-ply. I really love this yarn. I bought it to make my woolen honey sweater, and then had quite a bit left over. And then I did buy an additional skein to make socks with because it is just so soft. And I like that it's machine washable, because for something like pajama shorts, it's really nice to be able to just wash those and not have to hand wash. But I bought this whenever I was up in Taos, or I guess down in Taos for me for Christmas. And I bought these up at Joe's shop in Arroyo Seco, New Mexico. And then funny enough, the next day, I'm looking at it off screen here, but I ended up at Mooncat Fibers in downtown Taos and bought 7 more skeins of a different color called Sangre from him that he had just dropped off that day, which was really cool because we got to see the dye process up in the mountains. And then the next day, that yarn was available for purchase at a yarn shop in in town down the mountain. So kind of just a fun experience. I've loved knitting with this. I have 2 garments out of it. And it's just so soft. It's the first time I've knit with yak though, and it definitely like smells a little bit more natural than like, especially compared to my cotton yarn that I use for my other, or cotton and viscose that I use for the other project I mentioned. But yeah, I really like it. It doesn't like bother me at all unless it gets wet, and then I'm like, I smell a little bit sheepy. But I really enjoyed knitting with it, and I have like, it does not bother me that much. But maybe if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, try a different base from him. The other one I have is an Aran weight. I'll just grab it quick. The other yarn is this one. It's a 2-ply superwash Aran that is merino and baby alpaca. This color Sangre is just like absolutely stunning. And it's a 2-ply, like this twisted. I don't know if you can see that, if it'll focus, but totally different yarn, no yak content, and it doesn't have the same scent. So just something to consider. But I absolutely love his store. We've been going to Taos for a really long time, my dad and I have, and so it was cool to see this sort of fiber art focused perspective to the trip that I had never noticed before when we'd gone. This also, Taos Wools is also like a weaving studio and classes and everything, so if you're ever in the area and have time to run up to Arroyo Seco, I definitely recommend going up that way. So moving on to works in progress. What I've got going on right now, I unintentionally joined the Tulsa Time knit along. Drop some stitches. How it goes sometimes. From Rebecca Clow with the launch of her new Tulsa tank pattern. I just really love watching all of her knitting podcasts, and so I tuned in, I think Monday or Tuesday of this week, and saw a Pico border version of the Tulsa tee, and I've known about the pattern for a long time, but as soon as I saw this style, and she kind of did a pearl bumps and lace style, I was like, I need to make that immediately. So I finally, after all this time of being such a huge fan, bought one of her patterns. I guess I also have the Rue sweater pattern that I'm looking forward to making, but actually bought and started knitting one of her patterns, I guess I should say. But yeah, I'm knitting this one up in Cascade Ultra Pima. It's in the color Ginseng, which is color number 5721, I think. It's a really pretty, like, grayish teal, and there's such a nice shine to this. And it's pretty, like, lightweight, honestly. It's probably not as drapey as, like, the other things that I've made in, like, a not 100% cotton, but I really do like knitting with this. It's super nice. So far, I'm on, like, 2/3 of the way through my second skein, and I'm just going to do, like, a couple more rows on the sleeve, and then the Pico border, and then also go my normal length, like, pretty cropped, just hitting the top of my high-waisted pants, and then do a Pico border down there as well. I cast this on Tuesday, and I'm filming this on Friday, so it has kind of flown, even with the double knit at the top and everything. So I've just really loved knitting on this. It's been a really nice, mostly stockinette project, which has been a good refresher after the project I'm about to show you. But I am super excited to be able to wear this one as soon as possible, so definitely a product knit on this one. But it has been really fun to kind of see what everyone's been raving about all this time in the process. So that is my very first Tulsa tee, with some slight modifications. I am looking forward to, if this fits pretty well, I'm gonna make a few more of these. I can definitely see myself doing some more colorful ones and also some basics. I will say, I mentioned with the Margot top that I was not sure how the pattern, like, that it could have had some adjustments based on bust size. For this one, I'm not doing the bust increases. I'm going to try it, like, in its pure form first. And then after that, maybe do the bust modifications if it seems like that's something I need to do. But I tend to like things, like, a little bit more fitted on my bust and then flowy further down, which is typically how things fit me just based on my body dimensions. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm excited that she's been able to put so much work into making sure that this pattern fits, like, every body and every type of body. So yeah, whether or not I end up using the bust adjustment, we'll see. The next project that I've been working on is the Halavik crossover skirt by Svarta Ferret. I don't know if I'm saying any of that right, but this is the pattern that I mentioned was definitely more of a process knit. There's this really great slip stitch purl bump setup, and it's kind of a fun construction. Oh my gosh, my cable is so long on this. You are doing increases along, let me find my stitch markers. There we go. Like, increases along what will be the hips for the wrap skirt, and I think it's just, like, quite beautiful. I'm knitting this one up in Sandus Garn Lena. The pattern recommends a different yarn with the exact same composition, so I figured I would try this one. And I actually, the light blue from the Margot top is what I initially bought to use for this, but then there was too low of contrast with this white, so now I'm knitting it up in white and blue hortensia. I really like this color combination. I, like, don't wear a ton of blue, to be honest. I'm kind of a warmer tone person, but I thought that this would be kind of a neat, like, summery, springy type color, although it may take me the rest of the summer to complete. But I am having a really good time knitting this one. I did just take a break to do the Tulsa, to have it to wear, but I think that this wrap skirt is going to be really great. And it'll also be the first skirt that I've ever knit. So, drop some stitches. Apologies. But yeah, first skirt I've ever knit, and it'll be nice to try something new. I typically kind of stayed away from them because of how big I need to make them. I'm knitting this in a 2X just based on my hip circumference, but my waist is quite a bit smaller, so I'm hoping the wrap skirt will help me like cinch in and have a good fit for my body, which is one of the things that drew me to this. And then the next task will just be making it cover my butt because it's got a lot of volume, if you know what I mean. So this has been a really great project. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Poe likes this ball of yarn quite a bit as well. He's a big yarn dog. But that is my crossover skirt. And then the last project that I'm working on are some socks. I'm knitting these in Fiber MacGyver Sweet Mint colorway. I got it on a visit to the Twin Cities, which was really great. And then I'm using some leftovers from my Capricorn yarn from Hue Loco, just to make these little stripes. They're pretty nice. Like, I like the color contrast a lot and was a good way to use up some scraps. I also am doing the Eye of Partridge heel for the first time. I cast these on quite a while ago, and it's not really the like single sock island. The real issue is that I forgot how much of the heel I had done, and so I just need to go back and count and figure out how much more heel I need to do. It looks pretty close, but I don't know if I'm quite ready to start the heel turn, so I just need to get back on that, and then I'll keep going with these socks. But kind of a fun springy summery color, and something that's been really fun to work on. And they are just, I mean, they're like self-drafted, but it's not anything too crazy. I knit with 64 stitches on socks, and so just kind of made up the stripe pattern, wrote it on my little whiteboard up there, and then called it good. And I'm excited to be able to wear these whenever they're done. So up next is acquisitions. I have my iPad here so that I can keep up with everything that I've bought. I haven't bought any yarn recently. I'm trying to use up what I have in stash. Obviously I have that sangre color that will be really great to use. I also have yarn for an autumn alpine sweater. I have yarn for a homeschooler cardigan, both by Boylan Knitworks actually. I have 2 sock sets. This is just what I can see. And then there's more yarn in this closet over here. So I'm trying to use up what I have, but I may be buying some black silk soon because I would really love to make the May cardigan, which is by Creadia Studio. I really like that, or not cardigan, the May camisole by Creadia Studio. I'm really, just really drawn to that pattern, and I think it would make a really nice, super wearable piece, like year round, especially with like the kind of higher neckline. I think it's really polished. Scoot. I think it's really polished and super nice. And I am looking forward to an opportunity to be knitting that one. Hi. And then another kind of acquisition is that I am frogging my start to my Darjeeling blouse. I've already frogged one skein of it. I made it a really long way and then decided to call it quits on this pattern because I was knitting with the wrong size needles. I was using the Addy needles, and the metal ones, and I really hate that they're not labeled. So I thought I was knitting with US 5, but I was knitting with US 3. I'm a pretty tight knitter, so like that made a huge difference. I do really love this design. The Pico border was really fun to do. It took me a couple tries because I kept missing a yarn over, and I was like, this is not lining up. But I think it would be really pretty. It's just a matter of like not fitting my bust at the needle size. I even tried like making up some bust increases, and that was not gonna be successful. So I have decided to frog it, and now I'm just kind of over it because I made a ton of progress and have nothing to show for it, more or less, which is totally fine. That happens sometimes. I do really love this yarn though. It's Heritage 6 in Limestone by Cascade. It's so incredibly soft, and I think it would be really warm, so it may actually end up being a blessing that I'm no longer knitting like a blouse in this super warm and soft yarn. I am considering, after I frog it, making some other sort of sport weight top, but I've also been seeing a lot of praise recently for the ranunculus, which is like obviously a super well-known pattern, but I think it would be fun and super wearable, and is a newer to me pattern, as I've taken the dive into knitting podcast. I think that I've been hearing about it a lot more, but I am considering doing that. I really liked Young Folk Knits Casey's podcast the other day, all about ranunculus modifications, and so I may take some inspiration from that. I've got 3 skeins of this, so I think that I would have enough for like a short sleeve version, and definitely knitted it like that open gauge, and I think that that would be a really fun addition. But I also have some more super bright fiber MacGyver yarn that I may use for that purpose. So this, we'll see if anybody has any sport weight top patterns that you think might be good for this. Send them my way, leave them in the comments. That would be awesome, just for some inspiration, because I would love to do something with this, but probably not a Darjeeling blouse again. So moving into pattern acquisitions and sort of my knitting plans in the distant, maybe not too distant future. Obviously I said the May camisole, and you'll still need to purchase the pattern for that, but I am looking forward to knitting that one soon. In terms of patterns that I've purchased recently, the Tolsta, obviously on Tuesday I bought that one. And then I also, my boyfriend, who is also a knitter, told me that Colibri by Joanna was having a sale and had a top pattern for free. And I absolutely love her designs. I've knit the Gustav sweater, and then had my eye on quite a few other patterns. And so I just went ahead and took the plunge, and I bought the Amadeo summertime sweater. I really like the design of that sweater. I love the texture. I think that it would be something really nice and transitional here. We don't have a super long summer, so something that is actually like a sweater would get a lot of use probably no matter what sort of fiber I knit it in, but I think that that's a really great pattern. I also bought the Georgia sweater, which is just the classic kind of like bridal pattern that she designed, that has had a ton of knits since she released it, and I absolutely love it. Intended to buy it one day, just went ahead and bought it. And then I got the Piet Sweater, which is just, I love the super bright colors that she knitted in. I really like the Plata sweater by Rebecca Clow, and also there's a gingham sweater by Jessie May, and I really like that style. And so this kind of like more complicated plaid really like spoke to me. It'll take me a while to figure out the colors and stuff for that, but I just went ahead and bought that one as well since it was on sale. And then the free pattern that she had was the new Margaret T, which I think is just like so darling. It's kind of a combination of this and honestly, and also the Darjeeling blouse that I was making, where you have like the tie front and then some detail at the bottom. There's a little bit of like mohair or something a little bit more with more of a halo at the bottom. I haven't looked at it too greatly, but I do really like the idea of that one too. So I think between the Tolsta and the skirt, I may have like one more summer pattern in me before our summer kind of starts to wind down. I'm a pretty quick knitter, but not necessarily that quick when it comes to things with like the color work. So we'll see what sort of summer top I end up knitting moving forward. But that is the plans for now. So that wraps up this first episode of the Show Me Your Knits Knitting podcast. I invite you to follow me along on Instagram. Subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date with these podcasts as they come out. I plan to sort of release them every couple weeks. Watch the puppy grow. Whatever sounds good to you if you want to join in. And then follow me on Instagram. It's at Show Me Your Knits with a UR. And I look forward to seeing you there and seeing you in the next one.